Guess who they think deal drugs too? Do you really believe that's what they think? Well, in today's society, that's just the way what they think. What it do, YouTube? I'm Ricky. And I'm Ricardo. And if you're watching for the first time, we are not twins. That is me. And today we are going to discuss the very interesting case involving a wedding venue in Mississippi and why they rejected their potential clients because they claimed that an interracial marriage was against their religion. And in their interpretation of Mississippi law, this was perfectly legal. Now, I'm not trying to get sued for defamation or slander or anything stupid like that, so I won't name the business or the people involved. But if you just Google Mississippi wedding venue denied interracial marriage, you'll get all the information you need. Now, while the foundation of this lies with the business blatantly displaying an act of racism, on video, mind you, the crux of the matter is Mississippi's House Bill 1523, known as the Religious Freedom Bill, and how far it goes in its interpretation when it comes to those religious convictions. Now, we're not going to sit here and cast stones, okay, because we have all sinned. But the law is the law, and at one point, this woman felt justified in what she did. Other me, you have the floor. For this, you should be giving me the floor, the walls, the roof, the ceiling, the entire house. Okay, not only is House Bill 1523 incredibly stupid and overly ambiguous, where would it stop? It already allows open discrimination against LGBT, and now this business is trying to use it to justify racism. And they know it was messed up because shortly after the video went viral, their Facebook page was taken down and their Yelp page is getting totally wrecked. Of course, when they don't get the outpouring of support like they probably thought they were going to get, because racism is an extreme far cry from homophobia, they reactivated their Facebook page to issue an apology and then took the Facebook page down again. Look, we're both Christian, but I'm growing increasingly frustrated at so-called Christians using their religion to camouflage their hate. They're against abortion, but are cool with how kids are being treated at the border. Face your own damn truth and just admit that you hate migrant children. People are against homosexuality, but have no problem with the other hundreds of sins and abominations that they themselves might be committing. Just face your own truth and admit you hate gay people, but stop hiding behind the Bible, especially when you are not certain that it's against your religion. Look, we are what we celebrate. Given time and hindsight, society will imprint on us the guilt who we associate ourselves with, and we will have to prove that we do not hold that same guilt. I mean, if you've been friends with someone for decades, hung out with them, went to parties with him, he was your best man at your wedding, and it's discovered that he's been a child molester for 20 years, guess who they think is going to be a child molester too? I mean, you have 10 friends, 7 of them are gay. Guess who's got to prove that they're not gay? You hang out with a drug dealer every weekend. Drug dealer gets busted. Guess who they think deal drugs too? Do you really believe that's what they think? Well, in today's society, that's just the way what they think. It just doesn't matter. If you're going to refuse business to everyone who has committed sins or live a perceived abominable lifestyle, then you might as well pack up shop and cross the pond, because the monks are the only people you're going to be able to do business with. People bend God's will to their happiness, and the rules are no exception to that. I mean, tattoos are an abomination. Are these people turning away people with tattoos? Of course not, because that religious dislike does not line up with their personal dislike. Okay, despite our First Amendment right of freedom of religion, this law was created with the Christian in mind. I mean, think about it. What if a Muslim, a Buddhist, or hell, even a Shinto was to deny you, the Christian, a particular service because your lifestyle doesn't adhere to their religion? Even if it isn't against their religion, as in this case, but they say it is, just because they don't want to serve you, you would lose your and I can empty my bowels doing so, but it's still seen as guilt by association. I mean, you may not be the ring bearer, you might not eat the cake, but in their eyes, you're providing the tools to their celebration, and that's condoning their behavior. And by condoning, that's accepting. This law gives people the right to separate themselves from that business obligation, and the law is the law. You keep saying that, but not in this case. You seem to be finding a way to defend this law, while I'm trying to say that not only is the law ridiculous, but people are taking unfair and gross advantage of their misinterpretation of it by not fully understanding their own religion, and by proxy using it to project their hate. This is racism, plain and simple. Okay, you know why she issued an apology? Because her business started to tank, and she couldn't find anywhere in the Bible that warrants this brand of racism. And because she couldn't find this justified racism in the Bible, this might very well be illegal and actionable in court. But you know what she will find? 1 John chapter 4. No one has ever seen God, but if we love one another, God lives in us and is made complete in us. You want me to keep going? Do I have a choice? The chapter continues. If anyone says, I love God, yet hates his brother, he is a liar. For anyone who does not love his brother whom he has seen cannot love God for whom he has not seen.
Slow down there, Reverend.
Look, Matthew 22:35. Then one of them, a lawyer, asked him a question, testing him, saying, Teacher, what is the great commandment in the law? And Jesus said to him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Let them do the wedding, you get paid, and walk away. Me, personally, the law is still the law. I don't necessarily agree with the law, and I'm especially not agreeing with the racism here. But it is what it is. The Bible was written over 3,000 years ago, and the rules of the Bible can be used to openly discriminate today. And it's not like those rules have been adjusted for today's environment. And because this law is in place, you have every right to utilize it. If there are consequences, then there are consequences. And if I understand you correctly, if you're going to run a business open to the public, then you should disregard this law in favor of serving the public without what amounts to legal discrimination. Either you serve all or you serve none. How that client conducts his or her lifestyle, whether it's a sin or not, between them and God. So she should be forced to accommodate, say, a Klan rally or a Panther party? That very question is proof that this law should have never seen the light of day. We both know it targets LGBT, but racism and the like wound up being collateral damage. And stuff like this is the result of it. And there are many people who don't have viral videos, who don't want to deal with lawsuits and the legal system. They just walk away while the discriminators would leave with a smile on their face with their pathetic little victory. So ultimately, according to her apology, this is about a woman being unable to discern the differences between what she has been taught religiously and what she has been taught culturally. And somewhere in her lifetime, the two found a way to meld themselves together, and this law is taking advantage of that? Absolutely. Bottom line is, this woman hid behind her religion on something that clearly wasn't part of her religion. She just didn't want to serve an interracial couple. And despite the apology, she was totally wrong for her action, and whatever fate entails the business will be fully deserved. Even though the law empowers you to, you should not be allowed to use the law to cater to your religion for discrimination unless you know your religion 100%.
Well, we're Christians and we don't know our religion 100%.
And we don't use it to discriminate either.
So she gets no credit for the apology, and realizing that interracial marriages are indeed not an affliction on her religion, and it probably ultimately proves that she's not a racist here, and the law shouldn't even be considered here. The better question is, if she wouldn't have received such backlash, would she have stood by this now false belief? How many other people has she turned down that didn't post a viral video or who didn't want to go through the process of lawsuits? Well, that's a question I can't answer.
And that makes her a racist. She served as judge, jury, and executioner by condemning their lifestyle and handed down a punishment of, you are not worthy of my services. The apology may have been sincere, and she may have very well learned the fallacy of her upbringing when it comes to interracial marriage. But she also needs to understand that as a Christian, loving God and loving your neighbor as God has loved you is far more important than this self-serving psychosis that's telling her that serving someone as part of your business is a vehicle to participation. It's not. The same doctors who tried to save John F. Kennedy are the same doctors who tried to save Lee Harvey Oswald. And even though this law clearly targets LGBT from a Christian standpoint, that's where this law is headed. People of all religion, not just Christianity, who can ascertain the difference between cultural teaching and religious ones, sooner or later it's going to escalate beyond cakes and wedding ventures and go right into civil services like doctors, lawyers, police officers, pharmacists, teachers, all religiously refusing to help because of their inability to tell the difference between the two. And unlike this woman, they might actually find something that supports their decision, and that's terrifying, considering that there are over 4,000 religions recognized in the world, and the First Amendment protects all of them.
It feels like we're all over the place. But what can we conclude here? Are you against the law, or are you against this woman's interpretation and usage of it?
Both. This is a law of protection, and just because this law is in place doesn't mean that you have to utilize it. Just like this state's so-called castle doctrine, you're not obligated to blow someone away who breaks into your house. You can try to talk to them, you can shoo them away, you can sick the dog on them, not like that any of that'll work, but you have that choice. B, if you do choose to utilize it, then you need to know the law and your religion in their entirety, because if you're going to deny services for one religious law, then you need to deny them for all. Otherwise, like I said earlier, it won't be about religion at all. You'll be simply using religion as an affirmation of something that you didn't like in the first place.
And C, you need to deal with the ramifications of whatever happens. There are a lot of businesses out there that realize that it's simply not worth the trouble. We all know about Chick-fil-A and Hobby Lobby. Now, how they treat their employees is an entirely different thing. But do they turn down people that don't adhere to their religion? Let this law tell it. They have absolutely every right to, but they don't. I was starting to be with you, but now you're stretching. I mean, eating a chicken sandwich combo and getting accents for your house isn't a religious practice like weddings. You can't compare the two. Agreed. Look, I feel like a broken record here. If you're going to apply the law, at the very least know every facet of your religion so you don't make the same embarrassing mistake that this woman did. And if you do find some sort of text or scripture that supports your claim, you don't have to condone it, but discriminating against it is essentially a form of hate, and you're still breaking the second great commandment, a commandment that stands above every other law. Jesus ate and sat down and ate with sinners, did he not? He didn't support what he did, but it didn't stop him from loving them. Now, as for this woman, she needs to host that wedding at no cost as a show of goodwill. Okay, but you know what can absolve all of this? A simple disclaimer. Something along the lines of, we are a Christian-owned business, and while we do not condone some of the lifestyles of our many clients, we are open to all who come, or something like that. Either that, or make it very clear in your advertising that you don't offer your services to homosexuals or whatever. That way you can just watch potential money just pass right by you. What say you, YouTube? Do you take advantage of a ludicrous law at the risk of losing your business, but maintain your perception of religious conviction, even though that conviction is, in this case, erroneous? Or do you disregard that law and treat everyone equally regardless of their lifestyle decisions? Be sure to leave a comment below, and if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up so I know you liked it. Share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get all updates as they happen. And be sure to visit my Facebook page with any suggestions of subjects you want me to talk about. The link will be in the description below. And I've challenged myself. Have you? Over and out.